play out here over the next 6 months, or next 5 months, actually. But after talking to his coach, David Marsh, today, he said that, you know, he just needs to be consistent. When he comes to practice and does the kinds of things that David wants him to do, he is spectacular. Nobody is better in the world than Ryan Lochte when he's got his head in the game, and he just needs to be consistent with that. And David says he's been better and better as the year has come along. And when I mean years, probably starting after this past summer in the fall, and now we're kind of mid-season here in January. So he needs to just keep training hard. He's got some tough events. I mean, the 400 IM is not for the faint of heart. You've got to have a great training background. The 200 IM is not going to be a gimme. I think it's a slam dunk at this point to make that Olympic team, along with Michael Phelps in the 200 IM. But this 400 IM, there's some tough competitors in this event for the United States just to make the team.
Rowdy, Ryan Lochte's always been a great swimmer. And at one point in his life, he decided he wanted to be a personality as well. And I thought some of those distractions affected him in the pool. Now he's 31. Has he left that behind and refocused himself?
I think he's admitted that. I mean, I talked to him personally about it, Jim, and he said those were distractions, and distractions that he's sorry for, and that he has some regrets about. And I think last summer, having that world championship title in that 200 IM gave him a renewed purpose to say, listen, if this is going to be my last year, if this is going to be my last Olympics, let's go out with a flourish. Let's make it count.
Ryan Lochte, known, of course, for his dominance in a lot of short course events. And this is a guy, and Rowdy, I think you can relate to this. Ryan Lochte didn't really get serious about swimming until he was midway through his high school career. In fact, his dad, Steve, was his swim coach and often had to kick Ryan out of practice for misbehaving. And finally, when he was about a junior in high school, he finally realized, I can be very good at this. And same thing with you. You came to the sport a little bit late, correct?
Yeah, I didn't start swimming until I was 17. But and I think that can help in many ways. It certainly helps with burnout. So he didn't have that burnout of swimming as a young age grouper. And I know his coach in that early career of his dad, Steve Lochte, did a tremendous job in kind of getting him ready for the University of Florida. He went to Florida and had a tremendous career under Greg Troy, the great coach down there, and has now moved on with David Marsh at Swim Mac, and I think he looks really good right here. Again, he looks very smooth. Tyler Clary, who's also going to be vying to make that Olympic team. He's the second-ranked American from last year, only to Chase Kalish. Josh Pernot is going to be tough. Josh Pernot in lane number 5, who has already won the 200 breaststroke, will be a big factor, along with Jay Litterland, who is not in this race. Those are the Americans that you really want to look for. But if you think about it, 3 of the 4 Americans that will be vying to make that Olympic team are in this race. This Austin field is just loaded with incredible Olympians and incredible swimmers that all will be right there when we get to the Olympic trials in about 5 months.
And Lochte now with less than 100 meters to go. Tyler Clary, Pernot, and Kalish all giving chase, but Lochte now has more than a 2-second lead, and he is cruising in clean water. He looked pretty good in the prelims this morning as well. Didn't even look like that he was tested. Same kind of race. He got out by himself and broke contact with the rest of the field.
I love how he's keeping his stroke long, still very smooth. And when Ryan sometimes gets tired, he kind of flattens out with his stroke a little bit, but he's keeping it nice and long. That great posture in the water. You can see his turnover starting to increase a little bit. Good kick behind him now. You see that little kick there, and he could easily back off on this race, but he's keeping the pressure on. He wants to make sure he puts in a pretty good time. He's falling off just a little bit now, but puts his head down, doesn't breathe.
Gets to the wall and sub 4:13. He went 4:18 in the morning swim. So that's a nice effort for him in the final. 4:12.66 for Ryan Lochte.
And he wasn't even ranked in the top 20 in the world last year, primarily because he did not swim this event, rested and shaved, but that's a pretty good time. That's the 8th fastest time from last year, from 2015, at the halfway point. This is where he showed his dominance. You can just tell his backstroke's on. He's having a great backstroke leg here. Tyler Clary right above him, also a very good backstroker, obviously Olympic gold medalist in 200 backstroke. But here's that 300 turn, the weak stroke, you might say is breaststroke. Although like Katinka Hosszu, Ryan Lochte really doesn't have a glaring weak stroke and wins this race against a pretty stellar field, Jim, going away.
Chase Kalish was second. Josh Pernot was third, and Tyler Clary ends up in fourth. Remember, it was Clary that was giving Lochte some trouble early in that race, and Lochte eventually broke him about midway through the race. That's where Clary lost contact, and Kalish and Pernot moved up. And the other four were never factors in this race. Ryan Lochte goes 4:12.66, and he joins us now down on the deck. Ryan, Rowdy and I were just talking about what a nice, powerful, even swim that was. How did it feel for you?
Oh, it hurt. You know, the 400 IM is never really easy. But you know, haven't swam that long course in a long time, so it's good to get that under my belt.
Ryan, do you learn anything swimming the 400 IM that might help your other events?
You know, I think it's just getting up on those blocks and racing. It doesn't matter what event it is, just the racing aspect of it. I think that's what's really helped.
You know, I was telling Jim during the race, Ryan, that you have a lot of big decisions to make about your program. Have you thought about this event and where it stands as far as importance, I guess, for you? I'm assuming you're going to swim it at the Olympic trials.
You never know. You know, it's something that me and my coach, David Marsh, are going to talk about.
Right.
But we'll keep you guys on your toes.
Ryan, before we let you go, you're 31 now. You're a different kind of guy. Yeah, it's not that old. Don't worry about it. How do you feel now? Are you a different kind of swimmer?
You know, my training aspects have definitely changed. You know, I moved to Charlotte, so a lot of things has changed in my training. But, you know, so far so good. So we'll see what happens this summer.
Appreciate the time, my friend. Congratulations on that one.
Nice job.
4:12.66, Ryan Lochte wins the men's 400 IM. We come back, it's the women's 200 free and the reigning world champion, Katie Ledecky. We return to Austin.